Right. Hello, hello. Disco Elysium Part 7 is now annoyingly live. Because there are lots of technical issues that I can't be bothered to troubleshoot with OBS. Basically deleting my footage. So we're just going to carry on in front of a live audience. So, Joyce dumped a load of information in our laps about what's going on with the lynching and the strike. So we need to go and get ready to interview this guy. But we're going to do this first because there'll be vital information within that autopsy that we can take into that conversation. That will take us pretty much through to the end of the night, where we'll probably be debriefing with Kim. And then that will wrap up day one. Which seems like it's gone on forever. We've got so much done in one single day already. Still plenty more stuff to do though.
You see a set of tire tracks in the brown slush that covers the plaza mosaic.
You haven't upgraded visual... is it visual calculus?
You see a set of tire tracks in the brown slush that...
I think the skill level for that's pretty... and it's not too bad. Like level 4. Few orbs here because we've got Jamais Vu racking up the XP. Still quite a way off getting a skill point at the moment now.
The rotting man lies on his side with his eyes looking straight through you. The belt is still around his neck. His body is supine and open to intrusion by autopsy. The lieutenant adjusts his glasses and takes a deep breath.
Come on, officer. You know what a field autopsy is. You've done 100 of them. I hope we do. It's getting really late for an autopsy.
Just wanted to put the garden gloves on then because I forgot I had them. Need the interfacing check to be high.
The rotting man lies on his side with his eyes looking straight through you. The belt is still around his neck. His body is supine and open to intrusion by autopsy. The lieutenant adjusts his glasses and takes a deep breath.
Come on, officer. You know what a field autopsy is. You've done 100 of them. Fine. It's a 3-part form to be filled out on the scene by the detectives responsible. One takes notes, the other dictates. The goal is to establish cause of death. A scalpel is not always required. I hope this is one of those cases. Latex gloves are, however. There truly is a time for everything, even for yellow gardening gloves. However, they are lacking hygienically. I suggest you get in there in limited capacity. I'll ask you when I need you to. For the most part, maybe I should handle the contact and you take notes? Yes, you see, the field autopsy form is the one on red copier paper.
The dead man stares in silence as you crack open the ledger. The bright red paper is covered in boxes and lists, describing the condition of his skin and organs in 3 parts. Above those, an 11-field info form needs filling out first. It begins with,
That's you. Just leave it empty, officer.
the corpse lies there, indifferent to your retrograde amnesia. The next box says,
KK57-0803.0815.
KK equals Kim Kitsuragi. 57 equals Precinct 57, followed by his date 0803 and time of arrival 0815 on the scene. He's indexed the case after himself, not you.
Next. We've heard the nom de guerre, Lely. It's better than nothing. Write it down. What's next? Date of birth? NA. Roughly 50.
Try 40. The damage is so extensive, it's better to err on the young side. He nods.
Mondial. Subgroup Occidental, as per your observation.
The pudgy mess looks neither mondial nor occidental. It doesn't even look human. The next line says,
Fucky, fucky!
Male.
Pigs can have sex?
nor does he look male, with his pregnant belly and indistinguishable face.
We're still going with March 4th, 51. What else? 9. Body identified by is non-applicable. 10. Case number is the same as the coroner's case.
KK 57 0503 0815 listens motionless, with the cargo belt still around his neck. Only one box remains.
None. At least not after the initial examination.
The treatment is anything that's happened after the point of death or outside of the cause of death. And we're not so sure. Footprints made it look like he was carried over.
They'd have to have incapacitated and carried him over. This man was more than a match for untrained dogwalkers.
Your central nervous system recognizes this gesture. It's the stations of the breath. Ecclesiastic, religious in nature, a holdout from pre-DeLorean burial rites. It takes him 2 seconds to perform. Then, Somewhere in Jamrock North, a small wood shed behind Rosenkrantz Row, Lieutenant Nick Feuerback puts his hand to the chest of a small corpse, no larger than a monkey. It's raining outside, light drizzle. There is darkness in the shed. Elsewhere yet, an obese female sits in a wicker chair, her silhouette bull-like against the window. Outside, Grand Coudon. The day is turning dim for Sergeant Mac Dawson. Hand extended, he approaches, to make sure she is dead more than anything else.
Weird, esprit de corps behaves a little bit like Shivers, because I assume this is something that's going on right now with your colleagues back at the precinct. Some sort of case involving a child and a fat woman on a chair.
And so, all across Jamrock, Coal City, GRIH, 42 deceased persons found today, 42 stations of breath.
We should start the post-mortem.
The corpse cannot feel Kim's hand on his chest. It no longer meaningfully interacts with its surroundings. A thicket of boxes and lists on red copier paper tries to answer why.
Clothes. The deceased wears armored boots and white briefs. The make of the briefs is Babrodine, I think. Let's see.
See, it's happening.
Babrodine, yes. Inexpensive. Size M. Color white.
The disappointment is palpable. The red-haired thing was expecting something more lurid.
The rest of the clothes have been removed post-mortem by scavengers in order to get to the victim's ceramic armor. Officers are in search of the missing pieces. Removal of the boots is left for processing.
It would be clever of you to omit the boots altogether, sire. If you are to keep them for yourself, as you ought to, you have deserved them more than anyone else.
So we've already committed to just getting one piece of armour, so we're not bothered about the boots. Involves a lot of deception and messing about, which we're not going to bother with this time.
The boot has a serial number. It's E50.100.100. The lines between the plates are in the shape of the alphanumerical. The number is purposefully concealed by the design. Tattoos. The upper torso is covered in a single, continuous tattoo, resembling a map of the night sky. It reaches from the right shoulder to the heart. The ink is blue and white. The assistant has a color photograph of the markings, to be added to the case files as document A1. The photo is taken on the scene, using a Trigat Mini. The deceased has a cargo lashing belt around his neck, tied with a hangman's knot. Color yellow. Length 3 meters. There is a buckle on the other end. Well-nourished, athletically built, measuring 1.8 meters. Generally consistent with age 42. Preservation is good. Ambient temperature below freezing. Body hair is light brown. Distribution is consistent with age. The deceased had male pattern baldness. Hair is combed back, short.
Feel his pain.
The hair under your latex fingers feels cold to touch, wet.
Gently.
The stench is suffocating. Strands of dark brown hair start sticking to the latex of the glove, like thread off a rag doll's head. There must be brilliantine in there. He's combed his hair back with oil.
Keep petting him.
Lividity is consistent with hanging. The head is congested. Contusions are present on the head, chest, and thighs, consistent with stones thrown post-mortem. Low velocity.
Fucking low velocity? You think Kuno doesn't know what you're talking about? Velocity was fucking max. talking shit about Kuno's velocity.
In addition, there are bite marks on the face, scalp, and chest, consistent with predation. Ligature mark. The steel wiring. There's too much of it. We need to remove the belt so we can get to the ligature mark.
You got just the right tool for that. The chain cutters. The hanged man lets out a joyous little bubble of rot from his nose.
Always good to think ahead. Now, we need to cut the belt to see the ligature mark below. Carefully, with as much precision as you can.
See? My pig is gonna fuck his head off.
No, he ain't. Your pig's a boring fuck.
The belt is equally tight around the whole circumference of his neck, swelling over the edges like white bread rising from the yeast. The knot is the weak spot. The chain cutters fit in there, steady now, like a flower arranger. 2 cuts and it should come loose.
So before you do that little check there, the physical instrument can only get 42% because it's pretty low. It's only on 3. But your other skills can often back it up. The jump to get the coat will later be backed by physical instrument, even though it's only a savoir-faire check. This should work, but it's a red check.
After some deliberation, you sink the cutters into the knot tying the belt together. You squeeze the rubber handles together, sweat forming on your brow. Snap! The knot is slashed. Another cut and the belt falls apart like a flower bouquet, revealing the dead man's neck and the dark red ligature mark around it.
The rope rises to a point, leaving a gap in the ligature mark. The suspension point is in the back of the neck. Hemorrhaging is observed on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. The mark is well pronounced, consistent with a drop from 1 or 1.5 meters. Chest is intact, normal contour, abdomen is protuberant, pelvis intact, genitalia...
No! It's gonna happen, see?
I fucking knew it!
Genitalia is male and unremarkable. No evidence of injury.
Have to inspect the genitals.
The dead man's penis is average-sized, congested from the downward collection of blood. The testicles are uneven in length, hanging underneath. The genitalia is greenish. Marbling is present around the crotch.
Back is symmetrical and intact. Upper and lower extremities are intact, but asymmetrical. There are combat injuries on the right hand, thigh, and hip. In addition, I see smaller, residual scars, too numerous to count, covering about 30% of his skin.
From wounds sustained over 2, maybe more decades, dispersal and accumulation indicates long and active combat duty.
We have a real museum here, of battles, wars. Last item, hands.
Picking up the hand doesn't do much other than to make you feel sick.
Hands are clean. No sign of a recent struggle. I was. Maybe I'm just not seeing them. Honestly, this stench is making it hard for me to think at the moment. Ooh. That's all for the external. Well done. What next? Central nervous system. I have nothing. Do you have anything on this man's central nervous system?
You don't even have a joke.
Musculoskeletal. Purge fluid is coming from the mouth. Not injury-related. Eyes and tongue protuberant. Hyoid bone. Let's see.
With his eyes almost closed, the lieutenant puts his hand on the dead man's throat and begins to massage it, gently. A rotting smell erupts from the mouth. You hear cracks as the lieutenant moves his sharp fingers inside the flesh, like the creaking of an old house.
Yeah, jack that fucker off!
The hyoid bone is fractured. The rest of the musculoskeletal system is intact. Unremarkable. Respiratory system. Oral cavity shows no lesions. The victim has received dental implants, possibly after a combat wound. Mouth swollen, hemorrhaging present in mucosa of the lips and mouth.
No scream, no sigh of relief rises from the darkness inside. It's humid there. Sickly sweet air, unlike anything living. You feel like you're about to throw up again, straight in that mouth of his.
Hepatobiliary, NA. Same for toxicology and serology, NA. Unless you have untapped reservoirs of knowledge there? Like a toxicology screening? At this stage, I doubt processing will find anything, even if he was brimming with cocaine. But still, you should add a request. Cardiovascular. The body exhibits heavy lividity. Blood has gathered in the hands, feet, and neck. Hypostasis is visually consistent with the hanging. Gastrointestinal.
This will do.
Digested semi-solid food in stomach. Voila. What's next on the list? Let's see. We have bite marks, contusions on the head and chest, and a ligature mark encircling the neck. You'll need 3 fields. Leave a 4th one too.
Be thorough if you want maximum results.
Head, chest, and scalp bite mark injuries. Predation by birds has caused damage to the body. Odontologist does not need to be consulted. And your opinion, officer? Agreed. Next injury? So, the scalp bleeds from a post-mortem head injury, a stone. The injury does not have the rim of an early inflammatory response. The perpetrator on the scene has confessed to causing it post-mortem.
At maximum velocity, fucko!
Has confessed to causing it at maximum velocity.
Coagulated blood sticks to his scalp and chest, where the countless stones have hit the dead man. Beneath, the description of injury. 2 boxes.
Right. Next. A dark red abraded ligature mark encircling the neck, with a gap on the nape measuring, let's say, 7 centimeters. The hyoid bone is fractured, the cervical column intact. I see hemorrhaging on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. Depth of the mark, 1 centimeter. No signs of clawing on the neck.
So no clawing on the neck is weird for a hanging straight away.
Below the note, 2 customary boxes wait to be ticked. The man's head jerks to the side. The ring around his neck is visible.
We've seen absolutely no signs of struggle either.
Think for a moment. There's time. Don't rush.
Plus, I also have the gift of completing this game several times, so I'm going non-fatal.
Why do you say that?
I just took a whack in the dark.
Okay. Why don't you think it was fatal?
Yeah, Ghost told me.
Honestly, I'm not sure there weren't marks on his wrist. That part got blurry for me. The stench. But you are right, I was ready to call this. Now I think we should leave it empty, at least for the time being. Let's wrap this up. I pronounce this field autopsy over. It was an irregular field autopsy. We did not establish cause of death, which is supposed to be the goal of an autopsy. But, personally, I do not see this as a parameter for success. We also requested a toxicological screening. That was thorough. The results should arrive in a couple of weeks, if we are lucky. I will not hold my breath. Then, given the state of decay here, I consider establishing the victim's ethnicity a minor success. We were thorough with the list of injuries too. We described them all in detail. What is there to say? Given the circumstances, it was a professional field autopsy. I need a copy of that autopsy form. Then I will drive him to Faubourg. For processing.
We are not done
You
yet,
tilt
though.
your head, also looking at the corpse.
We are not done yet.
I'm sure we didn't get everything. There's always something.
So, perception is legendary skill. Why is it only at 7 now? Because it's legendary. Alright, well, it's a white check anyway. 72% has a good chance.
You run your hands over the victim's cold body, his limbs, his torso with its swollen organs. Maybe you should be more thorough.
We'll do these.
The genitals in his breeches continue to be unnoteworthy. You see the penis of a dead man. If you've seen it once, you've already got the picture.
Can't get enough of that dick.
Do you think we missed something? Okay, well, we are in livor mortis here. He is disintegrating. We need to refrigerate the body if we want to conduct another examination, and we need to do it fast. It would have to be industrial in size. Let's start by asking Gart at the Whirling in Rags and the Fritz store down at the gates. If they don't know, but only if all else fails.
Fuck are you looking at, Beano man? You want a piece of the Kuno? Wanna get fucked?
He's especially nice about Kim's eyes.
Only if all else fails.
Kim is not a fan of Kuno.
Kuno looks like he gets around. Knows Martinez. And its fridges too, probably.
We want to have another
Hurry.
look.
This is one task we cannot sideline.
Yes, I
With
know,
every
Kim.
hour,
I know,
whatever we are
Kim.
looking for will become harder to find.
So we have got a skill point to level up perception. Whack it up to 8. Need to go into this.
Rooney.
Forgot about the ledger compartment being stuck. Wonder if he'll tell me.
The Blue Heart. Oh, that's good shit. You'll love it. Just press down and fuck it open like you always do. Fuck it hard. Copopo the clown.
He means force. It'll work.
Come back later, Copo. Amuse yourself with my frank manners and my memento mori features. If possible, also, see me in your dreams.
Be glad to see the end of him, to be honest. Right, this should do it. 83%.
Your arm reaches out and your eyes close, as if by their own volition. It's dark all around. You feel cold, dead flesh through the latex glove. It's right under the palm of your hand.
Here we go.
His face, his cheeks, his nose, his fat, swollen lips. Like a rubber spider, your gloved hand crawls on his features. Everything is silent, all around.
Never messed with the nose because I was always worried it would do something to affect this.
The oral cavity is cold and moist. A ball-like tongue attaches itself to the base of the mouth, lolling around like a scallop. The tongue moves freely in the cavity. The mucus of the mouth is slippery, fragile, even through the latex. From the soft meat, teeth are budding, hard pearls of bone in the gums and in the back of the mouth. Can you feel it? You're so close. Rip his jaws open now. Look in. A vision of black and dark red death, pried open by your hands and studded with teeth. Looks like he's laughing. Death fumes rising from his throat. And there, in the back of his mouth, above the bell of the uvula, right in the soft palate, you see a hole, barely visible to the human eye. It is swollen shut, almost vanished. No larger than 0.4 centimeters in radius, the edges appear darkened. An abrasion collar. This is what we're after.
Fuck yeah.
Keep going.
Kuno nods, too. He takes a step closer.
Kuno being silent is the biggest indication we're onto something big.
A black trickle of liquid runs into his throat from the wound. Your index fits right in there. A tight tunnel of flesh opens up. Tissue damage. Wide enough for 2 fingers. As you push both in, you reach through his mouth, right into his brainstem.
The fuck is happening?
Ah, shit, see?
The basal ganglia feels clumpy. What entered here has torn apart his reptilian complex. Your yellow fingers slide into the remains of the limbic system. There is no resistance. It's gelatinous. The slug-like structures are damaged too. The tearing extends deep into both hemispheres. The lieutenant answers with the sound of his pen on paper.
Fucking cavity, see?
Your fingers are all the way in now, reaching toward the inside of his skull. The cavity goes further, but the entry wound isn't wide enough for the rest of your hand to follow. Your fingers reach toward his skull. His cerebral cortex feels like jelly, cold jelly. Strange fluid streams down your wrist as you push deeper until you feel it on the tip of your finger.
It never relents with the detailed description, no matter how grim.
Ice cold serrated metal. Its edges cut right through the latex and into your finger.
So it's an easy check, and you can't get any higher than 97%. Always leaves at least a 3% chance of failure. Same with success. You always have 3% chance. Just like you would with any dice roll.
You pick the object between your index and middle finger. It feels sharp, like metal. With your face twisting from pain and concentration, all you need to do is just... The inside of the head feels cold and smooth, like a glove. Sweat dripping down your brow. Careful not to lose the prize between your fingers. With a plop, your hand emerges from the mouth. The garden glove is covered in blood right up to the wrist. Between your fingers, a small flower, a blossom made of lead.
Fucking beautiful!
A bullet.
The bullet falls in the bag, leaving a smattering of blood on the plastic. He raises the bag under his eyes and says,
A non-calibre. Rifled. Some kind of brittle alloy. Fractured on impact.
You keep it, Kim.
No, you deserve it. We can log it later. We need to add an item to the injury list. Injury number 4. Oval entry wound with an abrasion color. Soft palate, back of mouth. High velocity, temporary cavity in brain tissue, small exit wound on the occiput. How does that sound? Opinion, fatal injury.
Damn right.
And one last thing. We can now fill in injury number 3. Ligament mark. Opinion, non-fatal. Post-mortem. Treatment.
he's proposing the bullet was the real cause of death, and the hanging an attempt to conceal this fact.
Yes, and the belt around his neck, the hanging, even dragging him to the yard. All of it was done after this man was already dead.
Dabba-doo-doo.
Dead. I have had my doubts since you showed me the tracks. Why did they carry him over? Why not march him, I thought. There was no satisfying explanation. There have been other signs too, small things. We were right not to assign hanging as cause of death, as the perpetrators expected we would. No such luck for them.
There is, of course, the very real possibility he was both shot and hanged.
Yes, we should take a closer look at it. I am certain it has more to tell us.
This little thing could reveal much about the weapon that shot it.
Oh, you really do. I am glad to hear you say that. Your room in the Whirling in Rags should come with a bathroom. Be sure to make use of it in the evening. To put him out of his misery? It's possible, but it doesn't explain all the other dubious things here. Lack of struggle, primarily. I may be intellectually sloppy, but I prefer one theory at a time. And this just smacks of treatment to me. That's for us to find out. But this, it will make finding them just a little easier. To hide something. The real killer? The real motivation? What really happened here? We put him in a bag and carry him to the holding pen of my kinema. The body bag should contain the odor for the duration of the transport. I would drive him to processing, but it's too late to do that today. I'll do it first thing tomorrow. No problem. One more thing. This was really good work, detective. All right.
Bye-bye, boots.
There go those beautiful enamel boots. May they rest in processing. Oh well, in another lifetime.
I will need a little help carrying him. You take the hands, I'll take the legs.
So now we've got about an hour in game time to get to Everard Clare. So we'll quickly get ourselves into the Union and then we'll wrap it up. Get these orbs. Okay, we're miles off the next one, so beyond getting a major task done, we're not going to be anywhere near getting a skill point, but we should be okay for Everett now. We've got enough information. Take him on. Be conscious of the time now, because there's a couple of conversations I want to have before then.
Be still, my beating heart. It's amphetamine. Sweet amphetamine.
Gonna be well behaved
The
and not take
lieutenant
the speed.
isn't studying the powder in the mirror. He's studying you.
Perhaps not. This is below our pay grade, detective. However, but that there was an interesting find. An alternative path into the harbor that the kid uses. Well done.
The tarpaulin cloak with possible RCM markings is still caught on the railing.
So yeah, because we spoke to Kuno and then physical instruments said just jump. Now we've got a higher chance of doing this. Although it's no guarantee at 72, but let's go. Yes.
As you leap in the air, a chilly breeze engulfs you, sharpening your senses.
You can heal your morale with this one.
Ankles tingling from the tension, blood roaring in your ears. You are ready for your rendezvous with the concrete pavement below. As the concrete floor welcomes you, you realize it's been a while since you felt so alive. Alert, capable. Must be the adrenaline.
I knew you could do it. My climbing down might not have been as disco as your jump, but at least we can explore the harbor now.
Bit annoying that that was
With
an
your
option
feet
the whole
firmly
time.
planted on the concrete, the noise of the harbor rushes back in.
So we get our jacket, which is awesome because it has +1 to shivers and esprit de corps. We can take this disco ass blazer off now. Stick that on. Probably don't really need them on. I think there's some gloves in the harbour, some Falm gloves. We're going to go in here first. Pick these orbs. Hook. Postcard. Pick this one. And then
On
got a
second
cabinet.
glance, someone has forgotten to properly close one of the drawers.
you get some interesting checks on this drawer.
It's unfortunate for the Union to just leave their paperwork lying around like this.
Very unfortunate.
The drawer opens smoothly. Inside is a well-organized selection of brown folders. Hundreds of documents containing logistical data. Two kinds of transactions stand out. Materials coming into Revachol from the outside world, from Muindi, Grad, and even Ilmara. And the same materials being handed over to companies inside Revachol, Kuron, Coal City, La Delta, and Jamrock are listed among the many districts where the imports are being sold. It's hard to make sense of this thicket of company names, dates, quantities, and percentages. You try to focus, but the lines are getting blurry.
So this usually fails with this kind of build.
Whatever's hidden here is
Never
hidden
mind.
well. Concentration isn't enough. Only a trained accountant with a background in logistics would be able to really make sense of it. However, there is a little handwritten note stuck on the side of the drawer.
So if you fail it, you can then talk yourself into a recheck and get a bonus, which makes it 58%. But we didn't need it, so.
It appears to be a to-do list written in large, uneven capital letters. Remember, Leo, Everard's shoes, special whirling borscht, water Everard's plants, sweep office floor, more banners. All items on the list have been crossed out, and the note itself is crumpled.
Everard Clare, probably. The head of the Debarders Union. One of his aides must have left it. Nothing incriminating here.
The special borscht seems a bit odd in the list. The drawer slides shut smoothly.
So we'll bump into Leo shortly, but we'll deal with him after because he's time consuming. Yeah, short on time. We have time to grab lots of tear here though.
Yes? Also investigate this container, this crane, but we'll do that later. Maybe tomorrow. Money. Gloves are in here. +1 to half light. Yep. And we'll save it there. And we will come back next time to take on Everard Clare and speak to Leo about the whirling borscht.